Thanks for joining me on episode 409 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Mario Pareca from 10-Minute Mindset, the podcast. I challenge you to invest in yourself, invest in others, develop your influence, and impact the world by using your time, your talent, and your treasures to live out your calling. Having the right inspiration to set your mindset on the right path is key, and one way to be inspired to do that is to listen to this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast with my good friend, Scott Mader.
It's the way to surround yourself not just with people who you can teach, but also with people that you can learn from. It's the way to find out those areas where you're weak and build them up, not just by learning how to do them or having someone else teach it to you, because again, you're never going to be a master of everything, and you shouldn't be. It's okay to not know the right answer to every question. Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world. In today's episode about developing your influence through stewarding your talent, I talk with you about why you need to ask this question about the room you find yourself in. I talk about finding a new room that you can be in and why this is a way to find growth. You've heard me talk about developing your talent, and one of the best ways to do that is through books. But if you're like most people today, it's hard to find the time to read. And that's why today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Go to inspiredstewardship.com/audible to sign up, and you can get a 30-day free trial. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from, and you can pick one and listen your way to developing your talents via Audible. That's inspiredstewardship.com/audible to get your free trial and listen to great books the same way you're listening to this podcast. Maybe you've heard the question before, are you the smartest person in the room? You know, this is asked a lot of time in various leadership courses, leadership books, and leadership seminars. One of my mentors, John Maxwell, is famous for talking about this idea of, when you are a leader or when you're doing something, and honestly, this applies to anybody, when you're working on things and you're surrounding yourself with other people, the question to ask oftentimes is, are you the smartest person in the room? Now, at first glance, if we're talking about developing your influence, you may think, well, I want to be the smartest person in the room. That's the way to gain influence. If I'm the person that knows the most about the subject, if I'm the expert, then I can be at the front of this movement. I can lead this tribe and I can tell everyone else what to do. And that's a way of building influence. And it certainly is a way of building influence. That is a way that there are people that set themselves up to be the expert. It's one of the ways of sort of leading a tribe or leading a movement. But it's not the only way. And I would argue that oftentimes it's not the best way in all cases. Yes, there are times where when you're developing your influence or when you're in a leadership position, you need to show your expertise. You need to be in a position of knowing what's going on and being able to step out and say, this is the way we're going to do it and here's why. But there are also times where you need to bring in a variety of people. You need to bring in skills that you don't have to shore up your own weaknesses, to help build a better overall decision. And to do that, you can't be the smartest person in the room about everything. You can't be the person that's always looked at as the one with all the answers. If you're always setting yourself up to be the one with all the answers, then after a while, it's really just all on you, and you spend all of your time telling everyone else what to do. And that's not influence. That's actually direction but it's not really influence. Influence, remember, is about helping other people grow into their best self. It's about helping other people become the person that they're supposed to be. And oftentimes that means letting other people struggle, letting other people propose solutions, letting other people have problems so that they can overcome them. I wrote an article a number of years ago about is leadership about being a problem solver or a problem creator? And the short answer is sometimes it's a little of both. Sometimes your job is to solve problems for your people, to remove roadblocks, to get things out of the way so that they can do the best job that they're able to do and supposed to do. But there are actually times where your job is to allow them to have a problem, to allow that roadblock to stay there so that they can grow and move past it. And the same thing happens for you. There are times that you need to have roadblocks in your way so that you can grow and move past them. So if you constantly find yourself being the smartest person in the room, being the person that everyone else looks to all the time for the answers, if you find yourself consistently leading only in that kind of directive leadership style, never a collaborative or servant leadership style, then you're probably in the wrong room. And you need to begin to find a new room to be in. It probably means that you haven't really found your tribe yet. You found a place that's comfortable because you know everything there is to know about this. You found a place where you feel like you're at the peak of your game. You've mastered everything and it's comfortable. It feels good. It's like wearing a comfortable pair of shoes or that old t-shirt that has really gotten worn in and is so nice against your skin. It's comfort. But out of that comfort usually doesn't come great growth. Out of that comfort doesn't come your best self. Out of that comfort doesn't come everything that will come through a little bit of discomfort. And so you need to begin to look around for a new tribe. You need to begin to look around for a new room to be in, a new group of people to surround yourself with, people to both speak into your life, advisors, and people to speak into what you're doing, but also people to surround yourself with that you can use to shore up your own weaknesses, people that can speak into your life. This is one of the reasons that I love belonging to some of the masterminds that I belong to. I belong to a great mastermind that's run by Jeff Brown over at the Read to Lead podcast. And that group, the ability he has to bring together people and lean on all of their expertise and let us learn not just from him, but from each other is tremendous. And that takes a lot of courage to be able to do that, to be confident enough in yourself and who you are that you don't have to be the master of everything. You don't have to be the person that always has all the answers. You're also comfortable letting others speak and learning from them and letting them speak to each other. See, this is the way to find real growth. It's the way to surround yourself not just with people who you can teach, but also with people that you can learn from. It's the way to find out those areas where you're weak and build them up, not just by learning how to do them or having someone else teach it to you, because again, you're never going to be a master of everything, and you shouldn't be. It's okay to not know the right answer to every question. I used to have a line when I was a teacher, and it is true. It is something that's true. I'm one of these people. I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner. I just love learning. I love to learn facts. I love to learn trivia. I love to learn information. And so I would rattle off some esoteric fact about chemistry when I was teaching AP chemistry, and the kids would say, Mr. Mater, you know everything. And I would say, no, I absolutely do not know everything, but I'm working on it. And I'm surrounding myself with information and with people that know more than me so that tomorrow I know something that I didn't know today. I'm working on it. I'm trying to learn something new every single day. And I do that by making sure I'm not the smartest person in the room. I used to teach in a gifted school where I guarantee you when it came to intelligence, that room full of kids was 1,000,000 times smarter than I was. I had some knowledge that they didn't have, but sheer native intelligence, they were smarter than me by orders of magnitude in some cases. But I still could work with them and lead them and teach them things because I learned to be okay with not being the smartest person in the room. I learned with being okay with letting them help me teach each other, help them build an environment where they could lift each other up. And I was, in some ways, just honored to be in the room and facilitating that occurring. That's what you need to do to really find growth. So if you find yourself always being the smartest person in the room, it's definitely time to start finding a new room where you're a little less comfortable and growing a little more. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of talent, you can go over to inspiredstewardship.com/talent and sign up for our 5-week series on the stewardship of talent. Or if you're in the U.S., you can text 44222 talent tips. That's talent tips to 44222 and get those tips. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.